Just take healthcare as an example. I think on healthcare, their problem is that. So you go back and you got two things. You can let it die and move on to the economy and get jobs, right? And then the moderates and the people who come from more conservative states or district states say, "Oh, I voted against it. It died. That's good." On the other hand, the alternative for them is to try and take the Senate bill and get something, and then they've got 8-9 months to go home and campaign and say it wasn't as bad a bill as the Republicans and the media have made it out to be. I think that alternative is better, because if you don't have that, the base, the juice, the money, the energy, all comes from the progressive part of the Democratic Party. The students, the Hispanics and African Americans that turned out to vote for Obama in 2008 are going to stay home, and when they stay home, that makes the election results worse for the Democrats. Well, you know, we have models that go back to 1880 to predict midterm losses, and irrespective of sort of what happened, you were going to look around somewhere around 25-seat loss to the Democrats, because in 2006 and 2008 they won every moderate seat essentially. You've got to figure some of those have to go back. One quick example, there were 44 members of the House of Representatives that were elected in districts where John McCain got 55% of the vote. So those seats are going to be competitive, and they're going to lose about 25 seats. My guess is they're going to lose about as many seats as Reagan lost in his first seat, and 5 to 7 seats in the Senate. If you're going to get stuff through, you got to moderate. You got to moderate, move it to the middle, and that meant if you're a Republican, you got to move it left, and if you're a Democrat, you got to move it right. And it already moved right. The public option was gone. There was no way that was happening. And on cap and trade and on those sorts of things, they're going to have to sit down and figure out some way to get moderates to vote for it. The history of the United States, this is not a particularly partisan period. It does, however, follow a post-World War II period where there was a lot of bipartisanship and cooperation between Democrats and Republicans, like Eisenhower and Johnson. But sort of with Reagan, you went back to the partisanship, by which you mean Democrats and Republicans don't agree on stuff and vote differently. So that's fairly typical. I guess the one place where, since about 87, 88, it used to be that partisanship ended at the shores. That's a little less true today than it was then, but it's over. The effect of partisanship, I think, is overblown. There are 6 or 7 moderate Republicans. One of them became a Democrat, as you recall, Senator Specter. The problem is that there's no cost to the Republicans to saying no. The health care proposal is quite unpopular, as evidenced by the victory of Brown in Massachusetts. So, in other words, if someone's going to be in the minority, you have to make them pay a price, and they haven't had to pay a political price yet. However, that does not mean that they have any solutions of their own to the health care problem. Interesting question. It was interesting, the Brown thing that conservatives went crazy over. Brown's not a very conservative Republican. He's pro-choice. He's, in regard to abortion, it means he's in favor of women's right to choose, and secondly, he is not opposed to, he's in favor of gay unions and not particularly anti-gay marriage. So they raved about him, but in short, as you go across the United States, political views differ, and if the Republicans are going to be successful and take over the House and the Senate, they have to get more moderate, not more conservative. They have to have people in New York and Illinois and places like that who can appeal to kind of moderate voters.